Alrighty, hey everyone, it's Crypto Trader Vader, and I'm back with another Poloniex trading journal. Here to check out the charts. I've been away for about 6 months or so, and excited to get back into it and have a look at everything. So I literally have not looked at a chart for about 5 or 6 months or so since my last video, so I'm going to be a little rusty with checking out these formations, but I have been looking at Intro to Cryptos charts. Doug from Intro to Cryptos, and he's been doing some videos, and I've been kind of being inspired to revisit the charts and take another look, because the markets definitely look like they're turning around a little bit. So if you're watching this live, thanks for stopping by. If you're watching the recording, thanks for watching. But mostly this is going to be for me to check out how the markets are looking now, 6 months down the track. And let's begin with ADA. So I've got the exact, by the way, I've got the exact same list here of coins that I was looking at back when I was doing this in earlier this year. If you want to skip to your particular coin, you're watching the recording, I'm just going to I'm going to make these green every time I come through and look at it, so that you can, if you want to scrub through the video just until your particular coin goes green, you'll be able to jump to your particular coin. So let's have a look at this. So here we are. Let's move it to 1-day charts and just see the bear market. There's going to be a lot of lines and stuff from predictions I made back at the start of the year, which obviously didn't pan out. The markets have been hit pretty hard. Sometimes, like in a situation like this, and I think in a lot of different altcoins, they kind of were hit very, very hard. So hard that there was this pullback, and it looked as though the markets were turning around, but it was too quick, and we needed to see them cool off. But what you're kind of seeing now is these 1, 2, 3 bottom formations. So there's your 1, there's your 2, and there's your 3. So like always, what we want to do is we want to wait for that price to come back up here and touch this 2 mark, and then when it breaks through that, what can happen is we can have the line come up here, it kind of hovers there for a moment. Once it breaks through, it usually comes back down to visit before taking off higher. So that's what we want to wait for. We want to wait for this kind of breakout right around this point to buy, and then hopefully make a profit. Doesn't always work out that way, of course, and you can see that there's a lot of fake situations. Like right here, it looked as though it was kind of going to do that at 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of broke above this line, but it was such a short-lived run up. I don't know if there was any particular bad news at that point. That was back in mid-July or so, when the markets looked as though they were turning around for ADA, but they weren't. And now, of course, we've got a whole different situation where the markets again are looking as though maybe they're starting to turn around. And I think it's been long enough that the bears are exhausted, and it might be time for us to see a run up. So as is tradition in all of my videos, I'll make a little bit of a prediction on what I think is going to happen here. So we'll probably see the price of ADA move back up to the kind of 1900s and hover around that line to test that resistance point. So I'll say bullish until around 1900 or so sats. Alright, moving on to BCH. And to think this was a threat to Bitcoin. Here we have a bit of a double bottom. Very strong bounce both times off of this. for this one, I don't know. It looks as though it's continuing down this kind of trend line. It's hit the wall here again, hit that line, and continuing downwards. So it may kind of bounce in between these two and then either decide to go down or decide to go up. So it's really kind of that triangle to watch out for, I think, in that. It's going to be lots of watching as I kind of warm back up to these charts. I think black coin was delisted, so we could probably remove that one from the array. Let's move on to BitShares. Still like that. Lots of fucking lines here, don't I? Excuse me. Let's delete some of these previous lines. So these previous predictions, 1, 2, 3, bottom, no, that didn't happen. But it is kind of reaching these same resistance points as it's been sitting around in the past. Back in March when I was doing these, I looked at this particular one as a bottom, and it's hitting that mark again, kind of hovering around that level. It seems to be getting close, but not heading back down to those exact levels. So I don't know, it's looking a bit better for BitShares than it was for BCH, I think, but that's going to be a still looks like it hasn't really worn off. Looks like the bears are still pummeling that one down, but they're definitely slowing down. I'd probably say that's generally bearish until next week. I don't know if I'm going to do these weekly. Let's say I'll do them fortnightly because I'm busy. That was for BitShares, not for Blackcoin. Let's move on to Clam. Alrighty, Clam coin has been pummeled. I love Clam coin, but it just keeps getting pummeled into the ground. It's got essentially one purpose and one purpose only, which is to be a currency on the website Just Dice. And it's got obviously some benefits. It was one of the most distributed cryptocurrencies. Anyone that held Bitcoin, Dogecoin, or Litecoin back in 2011 has some clams. Using their private keys from the other coins can actually claim their clams. But despite that cool thing, it's really only used for one purpose, and that is to gamble on Just Dice. So a couple times it's kind of hit this wall down here at 22,000 sats. We are getting a little bit of a mini bowl shape here, but we've had this before in the past and it's just flatlined and continued downwards. If we look at a bigger trend, it just continues to go downwards. Now I'm holding a bunch of Clam coin and have lost a bunch of money on it, but it's sitting on Just Dice, earning profits from gamblers. So I think I'm going to keep that there. I'm certainly not going to be buying more at this stage, though. Looks to be another one that's generally bearish until next fortnight. Let's move on to Civic Coin. This is looking a bit better, and the reason is that there's a fucking giant bowl formation here. So we can see this as it's kind of calmed down. A nice big slow turnaround, and the markets are starting to creep back up. Let's have a look to see if there's a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. Not really. So my prediction on this one is probably that we're going to see some sort of top here as a 2, while the markets come back down and test. So we'll have something like this happen where it reaches some pinnacle, comes back down to retest that 3 before coming back up and retesting this support line. So that'll be kind of my prediction on that, I think. It'll be somewhere around that point. And to find out where that 2 is likely to be, we can kind of look at previous resistance points. It could be up here somewhere, it could continue up. That probably looks like it because it's got this support line that it's touched a couple of times around this zone here, around the 26 to 2700 sats mark. I'll pop that in here. 26 to 2700 sats, comma, then a pullback. Cool. Okay, let's move on to Dashcoin. Wow. Okay, so Dashcoin, I mean, I've said it many times, it's more of a masternode coin. So it tends to stay kind of high, but the other thing that happens with these big masternode coins is that you need 1,000 Dash to have a masternode, and what that means is that you're always going to see people either buying or selling huge chunks of coins, and that means you're going to be seeing these big spikes down. These are probably times where masternodes have been sold in one big hit. And on the reverse side of that, though, you're also going to have these times when you have these big buys where probably people are buying up a whole masternode or a portion of a masternode. So I guess if you're in Dashcoin, you need to be prepared for these kind of big sways, these big ups and downs. Just delete these circles here and have another look a bit closer. So really, if we take a look here, we've kind of got the beginning of that 1, 2, 3 bottom forming. Although that 3 is kind of very weak. There's not a big bounce up there. You see, this 1 was very strong, kind of hit this point, and then the market was like, no, we're definitely going higher, we're definitely worth more than that. Whereas this kind of 3 area here is very slow. So it's hard to predict whether that's going to be a bowl formation and we're going to have that creeping up, or whether it's going to be kind of a retesting of this area and then a continuation down. That's going to be a toughie. So let's just pop a cheeky watch on that one and move right on. Decreed coin. Big spike on Decreed there. Not sure what happened. Not following really the news. Do have definitely a turnaround here of this, again, another kind of bowl forming, and really, 1, 2, 3 bottom forming here. There's the top of that, came back to touch that, and now it's kind of retesting this 660,000 mark. So really, we need to hold above 660k sats to go higher. And if we can kind of have the price come up here, we'll probably see some more strength out of Decreed. Let's move on to Dogecoin. Hey Timmy, what's going on, man? I'm back. I have a mug that says Vader on it. Just drinking some tea and doing some charts on this lovely Saturday morning in Melbourne, Australia. Let's have a look at Dogecoin. Whoa, what happened here? So we had this really long, slow decline, and then it popped up back in September, back up to 100 sats. Wow. And by the way, we are looking at the 1-day candles, in case you can't see that. So we're kind of see a bit more of a history of Dogecoin. Now, for those of you that have been watching these for a while, you know that Dogecoin has this incredible energy to it, where when it starts to pump, it pumps hard, and you can see through the whole history of it. There's never really been a time that a pump has not at least hit about 90 to 95 sats. Even back here, when the market was tanking in general, we had Dogecoin pop up. And, no surprise, you know, another 6 to 9 months has rolled around. Thanks, Toombs. Good to be back, brother. The markets again turn around and say, let's pump Dogecoin. I mean, really, anytime that Dogecoin comes down to, you know, these sort of levels, 30, 40, 35 to 40 sats, just buy some goddamn Dogecoin and then set your sell orders back up to around the 90s, 80s, and just double your money the next time it pumps. Because that doesn't look like, I mean, you'd think that the market would have learnt after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of mini one there, 7. I think the market would have learnt to kind of keep that price higher, but it just continues to pop up there. So that's a note to self. Anytime there's a drop to 40, let's say less than 40 sats, equals a buy. Just buy it. Buy it and sit on it. Let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum, like the rest of the market, has been tanking significantly. Back in April this year, I circled something there. Seems to be something important. Probably not, though. You can see the volume of Ethereum is very high comparatively here. Big sells all the way down from August. Got absolutely smashed. I mean, we're still very, very low when it comes to Ethereum, but we are starting to notice the market turning around. So hard to say exactly where that'll stop, of course, but whether that was the 3 there and the market's starting to turn around, I think we need a bit more time to tell, because this downward bear run was very strong, very consistent for what, about 2 months, 2 whole months, just all the way down. You know, and for the kind of last maybe month and a half or so, we've had it equalizing, but I think we need a bit more time for that to creep up. However, as is true with the 1, 2, 3 bottoms, if we can see the price creep back up to kind of this level, 0.036 Bitcoin, we might have a chance at another bull run. 0.036 BTC for a bull run. I'll put a smash a greater than symbol in there, and we're good. Okie dokie. Expanse coin. Oh, this is another, what is this, another delisted one? Because it, oh no, yeah, maybe it hasn't been trading for a little while, so let's skip over Expanse coin and we'll move on to Factom. There's probably a few more coins in here that have been either delisted or something else, some big news has happened to them, so I'll kind of go through that spreadsheet and remove them for future journals. What's happening with Factom here? Big spike down there, kind of adhered to a bit of a half trend line, but ultimately caved through, and now it's come back above that line. Or maybe, if we're counting that one, it's dipped beneath it and has retested that line on the way up, and now is probably going to come back down. That's an interesting chart to look at. Yeah, it's a hard one, that one. It just doesn't look like it's got a lot of energy behind it, but I don't know. I'm going to watch that. I dare say bullish, but I think I'll just watch that and see what happens. Folding coin must have been delisted for sure. Same with black. I'll just make a note here. Game credits. Let's move on. Alrighty. That market has also kind of been smashed. Lots of big volatile movements back up here as the markets are turning around. And then as we can see down here, we've got hardly any movement whatsoever. What's that say to you? Well, to me it says that it's not very interesting. People aren't very excited one way or the other about this particular coin. You know, we've got some support around this kind of trend line here. We've hit it as a resistance point once, twice, hit it 3 times. So this trend line does look like it's going to push this price lower. So my prediction on that is that it's probably going to break beneath 20 kind of 400 sats here. If it does get beneath, we're going to have a bear move, a strong bear move, with game credits. Gnosis. What is this? Delisted as well? Something's happened there. I'll just have a look to check this out. What's it called? Possibly delisted. And same with that one. Gnosis. Let's move on to GNT. Now that's looking a little bit stronger. That's more exciting. That looks like a better chart formation. So we have a nice clear 1. We have, you know, probably a 2 mark here. It's hit this resistance point a couple of times. Once it kind of almost broke out above that, but didn't. And that'll probably, looks like it's probably going to be a 2 mark here, and then we'll have the price kind of come down a little bit, settle, and then retest. If we can have a, really with this one, if we can kind of have a break above this previous resistance point here at around 2800 and stay above it, so we need the price really to pop up here and kind of chill, then we might have a chance of going a little higher with that one. So I'll make a note of that here. If we can get above, if we can hold, really, we need to hold above. Hold price greater than 2800 sats. Then we'll have a bull move on that. But it does look as though the price has kind of needs to settle for a minute first. You know, I think that's the case for a lot of these markets. They're starting to turn around. You know, they're starting to show us hints, and there's always going to be a couple of kind of first movers. I think a couple of coins that are going to move and start to create that formation a lot quicker than others. I mean, just look back here. Whoa, back in. Oh, this was December last year, of course. Yeah, everything's going crazy at that point. Okay, let's move on now to LBC. LBC doesn't have, it's got some decent volume, not a lot of volatility there, very low price comparatively to where it was, and it doesn't look like that trend line's ending, really, because it's hit kind of resistance here, bounced back up. It's really adhered to that trend line again, a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and even though we've got a new bottom down here that can count as the one, we need the price at this point to turn around and break above this trend line. And if it's going to do that in the next fortnight or so, it would need to be around the 740 to 800 mark. That's what we really need. For a bull move, we need break above 740 sats. Or so. I'll put a roundabout symbol there. Roundabout. Moving on to Lisk. Markets are declining in Lisk as well. Big bottom formation down there. A big old bottom. And that's not looking good for Lisk. The price, if that kind of keeps it looks like it's going to break beneath this low. Back here it had some resistance because it was too early. And so the price kind of bounced back up and came back down. But around this mark, it's moving slower. But I think it still needs, I think it still needs a little ways before it's going to be coming back up. So I probably predict that if that gets beneath kind of 42k sats, we'll be looking at a strong bear move again. Now let's have a look at LTC. Very nice. So with Litecoin, this is one of those coins that's got a very long history, and if we take our chart and kind of make it into weekly candles, and look back over the long history of the coin, we can see that it's kind of where's one of these? Maybe a rectangle will do. So it's kind of it loves to pop up around this 0.02 mark. I've said this before in other videos. Around this point here, and the 0.02 point, it loves to pop up there, and it'll also come and come back down to this 0.01. And really, for me, my thought is anything that's close to the bottom of this rectangle is going to be a buy for LTC. I'm going to mark that here. Probably is my first one to take some action on, because I think Litecoin's not going anywhere. It's rock bottom prices. And that looks good. I'm going to probably buy some Litecoin there. If we look at the daily charts, let's delete this triangle, this rectangle, because it's distorting the view. We are, I mean, it's hard to say exactly when the turnaround point is for this. It could continue down a lot lower, even way down, 0.07, James Bond, and 0.006. Could continue down to this point, or it could start to turn around now. And when it turns around, it's going to pop up. So I'm going to buy myself some Litecoin. All right, let's move on to MadeSafe. MadeSafe. I probably bought a bit of this back here. Yeah, I think I did. I think I'm pretty much losing a little bit of money on that trade. I still had it from back here. I probably should have paid more attention to the charts and maybe sold out of some of these positions. But yeah, I totally forgot about everything. Well, I didn't really forget. But I got a job, and the markets were tanking, and I was like, you know what, I'm walking away for a bit. You need to do that sometimes. You need to walk away from the charts, because otherwise you go mental. Okay, so I mean, we have a bit of another. I'm trying to look for stuff here, but I don't know about MadeSafe coin. It seems to be hitting this new bottom. It's broken through this resistance point that it had a couple times, and now it's hit this new resistance point at 2,700 sats. It's hanging around this previous resistance point where it, bounced off a couple times, but on the other side of that, it kind of encountered this resistance on the way up as well at around 4,000, and now it's not even getting up there. So to me, I hate to say it because I have some, but it looks like an inverse 1, 2, 3. It looks like a 1, 2, 3 top formation. And really, with that in mind, if the price continues to this point here, this 2,700, and breaks beneath that, that would be a wise time to sell, I think, because the price will likely come back down. So let me say here, less than 2,700 equals strong bear move. So I am excited for some of these markets to begin turning around, but it's definitely not exciting for all of them just yet. There's only a few markets that are starting to turn around, but I will be doing these once every 2 weeks from now on, and hopefully I can catch and document the change of the markets, because over the next few months I think that a lot of these coins are going to be turning around more strongly. We have a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here, and strong resistance once back here, once here, again. That is a buy for me. That is a strong buy signal. If we have a break above this 6,300, fuck, that's good. I've got to buy that. We really need a break above kind of 6,300 mark. Equals a bull run. So another star on my chart here to indicate to me that I'm going to take some action on it and probably buy some. OMG. Really no excitement on this coin at the moment. Big downward trend. It is starting to level out. We might see that start to turn around in the next month or two, but at the moment, small 1, 2, 3 bottom forming, maybe something there. I mean, if we change this over to the 4-hour bars, we kind of essentially are zooming in to the slow motion pace of the market. We can count that as a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation for sure, but we do need a break above this 53,000 sats really to get some movement on it. Equals a possible bull move. That's not one that I'll, it's I guess it's one that I should watch, but that's probably going to take a couple of weeks to get up there anyway, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Rep now. Whoa, okay, what's happening with Rep? We've got a nice turnaround in this market. So we have, see, this is exactly why I'm glad I'm doing this now, because we're having a, 1 point here was hit some resistance. It's hit it once back here. The markets are gaining support, and that is another action. So we really have a break above this 230,000. A break above 230k sats equals a bull run. And again, I'm going to star that because it looks very exciting to me. That's a strong move. It's been going, well, we are still in the 4-hour candles, but it is still a very strong move. So back in the 1 day now. It looks less exciting, but still something to look out for. Previous resistance back here even, and hit it a couple of times. So that's probably one I'll buy as well. Couple buy signals coming out of this, which is good. Ah, we've got Sia coin. Ooh, that's nice. Okay. So we have another one here that's beginning the run to turnarounds. As I said before, there's going to be a few fast movers or early movers on this bull market turnaround. So some of these coins are going to be the front runners as the whole altcoin market begins to turn around. Obviously, some coins will never turn around, but overall, I think the average of the altcoins are going to be turning around and starting to move upwards. And see a coin along with a couple of other ones here that I've marked on the list: Rep, Nav, LTC. LTC for different reasons, but this one looks like it might be doing the turnaround as well. So really, we need to have a break, and we need to have that break to be above this maybe 115 sats mark. And if we can get that happening, we might see a bull run on that one. So I'm going to star that as well. It's probably another one, maybe the fourth one that I'll buy out of this whole thing. Might have to sell some of my losing coins. Okay, so we're looking at Steem now. If you haven't got a Steemit account, go to steemit.com and get one. It's a blockchain-based social network, and uses two cryptocurrencies to kind of support the platform. One you use as payments, and the other one you use to build your influence on the platform, and gives you more greater voting power. It's not as exciting. You can kind of look at this and say, well, maybe that's a 1, maybe that's a 2 up here, and maybe that's a 3 down here as the markets are turning around. But really, we need a strong move back above this kind of 13k sats. I'll say here needs to get greater than 13k sats to move up. Not as exciting as the other coins, but it definitely might be one of the early runners up as well. Storage coin now. This is a better mover for sure. So a couple ways we can look at this, right? We can look at this and say 1, 2, 3. I don't like that big needle down, but that's one way we can look at it, because the price, even though it's broken above this 2 mark, it's broken above it strongly. It has come back down to test down here. And now that it's tested it and bounced off of it, we can say, well, the market's likely turning around in that one. So that would be a buy signal. Maybe one I'll also possibly invest in. Although, you know what? I'm going to delete that star because I think it's probably... maybe I'll keep it. Fuck. I can't decide. I'll put a star there to look at it later. But the price basically has come back down to touch this previous resistance point, which has turned it into a support line, and now the price is starting to move back up. Now the new resistance point is at 5,800. So really we're in the middle of that now. Possible bull run. Oh, you know what? I'll put on here generally bullish until next week. Next fortnight, I should say. Because I'll do these every 2 weeks, not every single week. Alright, STR, Stellar Lumens. Wow, okay, so this one has... It's probably one of the only ones that's actually stronger than it was back there. Slow increase here. Markets are starting to pay attention to the resilience of this particular coin, which is good. Sneaking back up. Probably encounter some resistance from the price of where it's at now, so it's probably, if you're looking at buying it, probably wait and see where it moves. See what it's doing here. So really it's probably going to encounter some resistance from exactly where it's at now and come back something like that before deciding on what it's going to do, whether it's going to go up or come back down. And that'll depend on a lot of factors, of course, including the whole market overall and the the general vibes of the crypto sphere. That, let's call it a watch, and we'll see what happens with that. Strat. Not as exciting as Stellar Lumens. It's kind of hovering around this point. Maybe even you could call that a channel. Kind of dancing in between this rectangle. We might see the price kind of come out of that and come back down, in which case might do a bend. If it comes out of a rectangle, comes back down to touch it and then moves up, but it would need to kind of stay above this 26,000 sats mark. Greater than 26k sats equals a possible bull run. Alrighty, let's move on to the next one. Just have a quick look at Syscoin. I don't have it in my charts, but I'm curious about it because it is a masternode coin, and I like to keep an eye on them. Looks to be creeping up slowly. Showing some strength, but it's not. It doesn't have a lot behind it, so that'd be a watch anyway. Let's move on to Vertcoin. VTC looks to be dying in a hole. It's low, 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 rock bottom prices, and it's touching these previous support lines again. If it dips beneath that, you know, maybe 9,700 less than symbol, 9,700 sats equals a bear move. That's not looking good. XCP counterparty, big moves down, of course, like a lot of altcoins. This one is showing a little bit more strength. Not heaps though. Previous resistance markers here, no doubt. It used to be support line, but once it broke through, of course, it turns into a resistance point as the price comes back up to touch it. So my prediction on that is that it will probably fail down a little bit and then possibly move up. So really we need kind of some strong support around the 50k. If we can get some support around 50k, equals a possible bull move. XMR. It did dip quite low, man. I would have loved to pick up some extra Monero back down at this point. You know, this is another resilient coin. It's kind of continued to come up and up and up. Looking at the history of this coin for a long time. Now it's kind of failing a little bit now because the whole market was very much overexcited back in Jan. But because end of last year, start of this year. But it hasn't dipped a lot like a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. Now, of course, being one of the probably stronger contenders, I'd say, for, you know, an anonymous, a fully fungible cryptocurrency, Monero is probably a strong bet for an anti-government coin, but that means that the government will probably fight it at some point. And I know it's Doug from Intro to Cryptos. It's his opinion that you know, there's going to be a bit of a regulation coming through for a lot of these anon coins, which I can understand. But I think the government also realizes that stopping these coins is really impossible. So there's a futility to that regulation. You know, if they make it illegal, let's say, to hold an anonymous coin, that'll only validate it as a as an anonymous currency, and over the long term will make it stronger. Really, we need a move for Monero to get back above this, maybe 1.85 mil sats, which is 0.0185 BTC. I'll put a greater than symbol there. Greater than that equals a possible bull run. Let's move on to XPM now. And that is what we call dying in a hole. Holy cow. Let's get rid of this bullshit. And fucking hell. That is just dead. Doom, doom, doom. Big old straight line down. Big channel. Defeated. It's got some resistance at certain points, and it might slowly start to turn around, but I think the best for XPM would be a slow turnaround, which is unlikely. I think I probably might remove that from this list and add in another coin. I'll write watch in it for now, and we'll see where we are in a fortnight. XRP. Oops. Big pop up here. Indicates to me somebody's buying up a shitload of Ripple. Big pumps here, and the price is not immediately falling back down, which tells me that there may be another pump imminent on that one. Just this. The fact that the price is not moving a lot here tells me there could be a volatile move coming. We saw it back here as well. Price kind of slows down. Market's like, which way is it going? What's going to happen? And then back here it went, wow, fail. But of course, as the price slowed down here, it was something different entirely. It popped up. That one to me, Ripple is one of those very strong contenders that's cheap at the moment, and it's another one that's rock bottom prices. Just like LTC, I think it's one that I want to probably pick up some at this kind of area now. And I put a star next to it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coins that I've got to check out so far. Let's have a look at Lucky Last Zcash here and see what's going on with this one. So we've got some support around this kind of line, around this 0.017 area. But I don't think the market has moved enough. It's a bit too quick from this run up, from this run down rather. I don't think that bowl needs to be a little bit longer, you know what I mean? For it to really turn around, it's probably going to take a few more months yet. So let's say generally bearish until next fortnight on that one. Here we are. Look, I'm going to hit save on that crypto journal spreadsheet. I'm going to take a quick look at the price of Bitcoin in general before I call it a day. If there's any other coins y'all want me to check out, just leave me a comment and I'll check it out next time. And yeah, what's happening, man? It's crazy, isn't it? That we have this thing called Bitcoin. It's just crazy. So what happened here? Back in 2014, we had this big run up, crashed back down, died in a hole, came back, and it was very unexciting for a long time. 1, 2, 3. Came up, retested, failed. Came up, retested, and broke through. Came back down and touched that line, just like it normally does. But, it hit this twice. It hit this $165 twice. Now we take a look, at the more modern run up. Is it too soon for the market to be turning around? These lines, it seems to have kind of broken above this immediate trend line, which is a good thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, it adhered to it 5, and then it broke above it here, and now it's sitting above it. So people are starting to, instead of thinking about what's the best price that they can sell their Bitcoins for, people are starting to think, well, maybe what's the best price that I can buy my Bitcoins for? And that subtle change in the thoughts of the market and the feelings of the market even indicate the start of a turnaround. But the pace of that turnaround, we don't have any fucking idea. This line here that I've drawn, which I'll make a nice bright pink color. No, fuck it. You know what? I'll make it a nice deep purple color. You know what? I'm going to make it a different color. I'll make it a nice red color. Red's nice, stands out. This kind of trend line here, 1, 2, 3, kind of count that as 3, 4, 5 times it's touched. So really we're at the bottom of this trend line. This could very well be the last opportunity to pick yourself up a cheap Bitcoin. But of course, could totally go the other way. If it breaks beneath this red trend line, we could have a continuation of a downward trend. I honestly don't see that happening very much further, because this is really rock bottom. And I think the markets are starting to wisen up, starting to turn this around, and potentially beginning the next bull run. So let's have a look, when we compare this most recent bubble. Fuck, I keep drawing these lines. This most recent bubble, and you go back and look at the previous bubble. Tiny little bump. So what happens if we make this look like a tiny little bump? And then where's the price going? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to dream about, but it's hard to imagine, isn't it? I mean, it was hard to imagine back when I bought my first Bitcoin at like a couple $100. It was hard to imagine that it'd be a few thousand, but yeah, who knows? The price could get up to kind of these realms, and if we're dealing with Bitcoin at 200 to 250,000, it's be insane. We'll be looking at, the world has to pay attention at that point. But I think we need many things to happen before that will more adoption, I think. Anyway, let's leave it there. Thanks for checking in and coming back to watch this video. I'll be doing these a bit more regularly as the markets are turning around, and hopefully picking up some good calls along the way. Crypto Trader Vader out. Peace, everyone. Have a good one.